Anthony here, founder of Quantum Advisory Group. In our last episode, we talked about developing a builder's mindset instead of a survivor's mindset. I highly recommend that you watch that video. Today, we're shifting into something that every leader eventually has to master, building a team culture that actually works. Whether you're leading a ministry team, a business team, a volunteer team, or a small group of people, culture will make or break your leadership. And most leaders don't fail because of strategy, they fail because of culture. If you enjoy content such as this, do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into the topic of discussion. So, first, why culture is more important than strategy. Culture is the atmosphere people feel when they walk into your environment. It's the behaviors you reward, the behaviors you tolerate, and the behaviors that you in fact model. Culture determines how people communicate, how they work, how they solve problems, and how they treat each other. If you you can have the best vision, the best plan, and the best strategy. But if your culture is toxic, if it's inconsistent or unclear, nothing will grow. Culture is not what you say, but it's what you allow. So we're going to talk about clarity, right? People can't follow what they can't see. Okay. Every strong culture begins with clarity. People need to know, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? How do we behave here? What does excellence actually look like? What does respect look like? What does communication look like? If you don't define it, people will create their own version of that. Okay. And that's where the chaos begins, right? Clarity removes confusion. Clarity creates alignment. Clarity gives people confidence. A team without clarity becomes a team of assumptions. All right. Number two, consistency. Culture is what you repeat. So culture is not built on one motivational speech, okay, one meeting or one training. Culture is built on repetition. What you consistently reinforce becomes normal. What you consistently ignore becomes acceptable. If you want a culture of excellence, you have to model excellence in a consistent way. If you want a culture of communication, you have to communicate consistently. If you want a culture of accountability, you have to practice accountability consistently. Consistency is what turns values into habits. Number three, communication. Healthy culture requires healthy conversations. Most team problems come from communication problems, right? People assume, people misunderstand, people avoid hard conversations, but strong leaders create a culture where communication is clear, where it's honest, and it's also respectful. That means giving feedback, but also being able to receive feedback, asking questions, and addressing issues early. Okay. If you don't say anything, what happens is it creates confusion. Okay. Communication creates clarity, and clarity creates trust. If you want a healthy culture, you have to normalize healthy conversations. I'm keeping this as simple as possible. Okay. Number four, accountability, right? What you allow will continue. Accountability is not a punishment. In fact, it's actually an alignment. I've said this before. Okay. It's making sure the team is moving in the right direction with the same standards. Okay. Without accountability, culture collapses on top of each other. Okay. People start cutting corners. People start showing up late. People start doing what's comfortable instead of what's right. Accountability protects the culture. It says to your team, we don't just talk about our values, okay? We actually live those values, okay? So it's not just something cooked up in a book that is fancy to have, okay, to just pass around to new hires. We are living the core values as into what our company is built on, okay? And when accountability is done with respect, people grow instead of feeling attacked. Number five, moving along, empowerment, right? Culture grows when people grow. A strong culture doesn't just demand excellence from you, it develops excellence. Okay. Empower your team, train them, equip them, give your team the opportunities to lead. Okay. Give them the room to make decisions, give them the space to grow. When people feel trusted, they begin to rise. But when people feel valued, they also contribute. Okay. When people feel empowered, they take ownership. Empowerment turns followers into leaders and leaders into multipliers. Number six, culture follows the leader. So lead by example. Okay. If you are a leader into whom is watching right now, okay, the culture follows the leader. Okay. So lead by example. You can't build a culture that you don't live in yourself. Okay. You can't. All right. Think about it. Even Jesus was still among the disciples. He didn't just teach them across the way. He was with them. Okay. He taught them before he sent them out. Okay. A great leader is going to be there. And then great leaders build other leaders. Okay. So then the leadership that was taught to the leader that is now in leadership, now they can give and bring forth that same leadership, even when the let's just say the CEO is not there, but their second in command is. Okay. You can't build a culture that you don't live yourself. Okay. Your team will copy your attitude. Your team will copy your work ethic, your communication style, your discipline, your energy, your effort, your integrity. So if you're late, okay, then guess what? They're going to be late. Okay, if you're sloppy, then they also are going to be sloppy. If you're negative, then they are going to be negative. Okay, but if you're consistent, if you're focused, if you're respectful, if you're committed, then they're going to be focused, they're going to be respectful, they're going to be disciplined, they're going to be committed, right? Okay, they will rise to the level, right? Culture doesn't start with the team, culture starts with the leader. Hmm? So, in closing, culture is not an accident, it is actually a decision. Okay. If you want a team that grows and communicates and collaborates and performs, okay, build a culture with clarity, build a culture with consistency and communication, accountability, empowerment, and lead by example. Okay. If you lead by example, then your team will lead by example, and other leaders within the team will then begin to develop. Okay. When your culture is right, everything else becomes a lot easier. So do me a favor, drop a comment and tell me which pillar or which portion of this video you're focusing on this week. Okay. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about something again that every leader needs to master: how to make decisions with confidence, clarity, and wisdom, even under pressure. I look forward to reading your comments. Do us a favor again, like, share, and subscribe. We have more to come.